So if you will remember from last time, in our last little video, we were looking at ways to represent things using numbers, and we had 3 stars and we had 5 red circles, 3 yellow stars and 5 red circles, and we wanted a way to represent those using numbers. So we said that we could say we have 3 stars to 5 circles, and we could write that as a ratio. That's called a ratio when we write it that way. And there are different ways that we could write ratios. We said we could write them as 3 over 5. We could write them as 3 and then separated by a colon. There's little 2 dots here. 3 to 5. If I can get it to work right. Try it again. 3 to 5 using these. 3 to 5. Or we could just actually write it out 3 to 5 just like that. All those are valid ways to say a ratio. Now, one thing you'll pick up very quickly is that if we see this, we recognize this as something we've seen before. And a ratio is really just a fraction. It's just a fraction. So in this case, we have 3 to 5 is 3 over 5. And that is a fraction. Now, one of the things you might remember from when we were studying this in class is that fractions can have other fractions that are equal to them. So we said that we could get an equivalent fraction by either multiplying or dividing. So we could say that 3 times 2 over 5 times 2 gives us 6 over 10. And 6 over 10 is an equivalent fraction to 3 over 5. 6 over 10 is equal to 3 over 5. And we know that because we can simplify 6/10 and get 3/5. Because if we divide 6 by 2, then we get 3. And if we divide 10 by 2, then we get 5. So we get 3 over 5. These two fractions are equivalent to each other. It's a nice thing because we also have a thing that's very important to us called equivalent ratios. And equivalent ratios are just equivalent fractions. So the ratio 3 to 5 is equal to the ratio 6 to 10. And when we state things this way, when we write these out like this, we're saying that this is equal to, 3/5 is equal to 6/10. And that is called, when you see it just like this, it's called a proportion. We're saying that these two ratios are proportionate to each other. So we have a proportion. And in this case, that's 3/5 to 6/10. And we know when two proportions are equal because we can cross multiply and find that they have the same number. So when we multiply 5 times 6, multiply those together, we get 30. And when we multiply 3 times 10, we also get 30. So 30 is equal to 30. We know then that those are proportional. Now, if we wanted to see what that would look like if they weren't proportional, we could say 3/5 and compare that to 6/11. 6/11. In this case, we have 3/5 to 6/11. So we want to know if these are proportional. So we do our cross multiplication. 5 times 6 is equal to 30. We remember that from over there. So that's equal to 30. 3 times 11, however, is not equal to 30. It's equal to 33. 30 and 33 are not equal. They are not equal. So we put a slash through that to say 30 not equal to 33. And these then are not proportions. They are not proportional. And that is helpful to know for everything we're going to do in the future. We solve all kinds of problems with proportions.